Shabbat Shalom, brothers and sisters. This is Travis here at the Prepared Homestead. Kind of, sort of a Bible study, inspirational word, maybe something like that. I am no minister, but occasionally I do these just hopefully to encourage you in a spiritual sense. I've been talking a lot about, for weeks now, all the stuff that's going on. Y'all know about it. Things are getting kind of rough. I mean, that's putting it really lightly, isn't it? And I've talked about how my gut feeling and others feel that what we're headed towards is people that think like you and I. They're just not going to let us think that way, right? They're going to do what they can to either change our thinking, shut us up, and who knows, at some point, maybe lock us away. But more so than just our political way of thinking, or how we raise our family and how we, live our lives. It's also our spiritual way of thinking. And while we haven't heard a whole lot in the last couple of weeks about that, there has certainly been little bits and pieces throughout this year where you can pretty much tell that they're not too fond of people that believe that there is a creator in heaven and believe that this book is a holy book and that it's from him, it's his words, and it's how we should live our life. They're okay with the watered down, I don't even like to use the word Christianity, it's whatever watered down religion that they come up with, where it's a man and a woman or whatever. Those of us, and I know I'm sounding generalizing terms, because I know some of you believe slightly different than I do or different than each other. That doesn't always mean that some of us are wrong and some of us are right. It just means that, we kind of see things a little differently. There are certain obvious principles that I think that there is no right or wrong in believing them. It's just the way they are. They're in the Bible. It's how it's supposed to be. But that's not the message for today. The message for today is, as much as we're seeing all the political stuff happen, all the stuff globally, the change, this rapid change that is upon us, expect to also see a rapid change when it comes to our religious and spiritual beliefs. And to kind of back that up, I want to turn to the second book of Timothy, chapter 3. And, I don't know, we'll probably read 1 through 9, something like that. And let me read it and then I'll talk about it. Again, I'm not a preacher, so just bear with me. I'm also in a little bit of pain. If you guys notice, I'm kind of awkwardly standing. I've tweaked my back, and it's very painful for me to stand up straight. So if I seem to be a little weird standing or moving around, it's because I'm in a lot of pain right now. Anyways, it says, "This also know, that in the last days perilous times shall come. And listen to this. If you've not read this, or you've not read this in a while, most of you probably have read it at some point, but if you haven't read it in a while, you need to read this, because, man, it sounds like they're talking about now. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection." That sounds interesting. "Truth breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away. For of this sort they are which creep into the houses and lead captive silly women laden with sins, led away with divers lust, ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. That almost makes it sound like the internet. People are always learning new things, but never actually, gaining wisdom and knowing the truth. Just my opinion. Now, as Jannes and Jambres withstood Moses, so do these also resist the truth. Men of corrupt minds reprobate concerning the faith, but they shall proceed no further. For their folly shall be manifest unto all men, as theirs also was. Among all the things that's going on right now, this isn't just a battle of our hearts and minds. It's not a battle for wealth and glory and power. This is a spiritual battle. Maybe not everyone watching this believes that, but I firmly do, and I know many of you do. We are engaged in spiritual warfare. This is more than just a great reset or a financial collapse or currency reset or getting a shot in the arm or who's in the White House or the battle between political philosophies and ideology. It's way, way, way bigger than that. We're engaged in spiritual warfare, and it's a battle for that. And we talk about preparations all the time on this channel. That's what I, try to do, is to help you become more prepared for the future and whatever it holds. We also need to become more prepared spiritually, and I do mention that from time to time. We are living in perilous times. Many of you believe it's the last days. It probably is. I believe so also. But I don't believe we should get so caught up on, well, he must be coming around the corner. It says that we don't know when he's coming back. And I think the reason for that is because if we did know, we would just sit around and do nothing and wait for that coming, if we knew it was close. So he's telling us throughout this whole book what to expect, that it's going to get bad. Things are going to get bad. It talks about this over and over again. We're going to be persecuted. We're going to be hungry. We're going to experience wars and violence and plagues. And it's going to get bad. But we know how the story ends. And while we prepare our lives physically by the things that we stockpile or the skills that we develop or the training that we, pursue, we have to prepare our hearts too. That is what the whole book is written about. This whole book, that's what it is. It's to prepare our hearts, to prepare our soul for this this evil in this world. And this evil has really been unleashed. Maybe at some point I'll do a video on why I think it's being unleashed, or why the evil side thinks it's being unleashed. Let's put it that way. But the point is that it is being unleashed now, possibly more than ever. We're seeing it every day. Every day we turn our TVs on, if you still have them. Every day you look on the internet. Every day you go out in public. It's just more and more evilness. That's not the time to give up. That's actually the time to be a little bit more excited, because we know the time is coming closer. That's the time to get yourself ready. For any of you that might be listening that has served in any type of military fashion, been a soldier of some sort, you train, and anyone that's listening that's actually experienced combat, has gone into combat. You train, and then what do you do as a soldier? You train, and then once your training's done, you have downtime. You don't train 24/7 all the time your whole career. You train, and then you have downtime, and you go home, and then you train on certain days and certain, you have a certain job, and whatever that is in whatever branch of the military you're in. You may be a reservist. You may go home for a while and have your normal job, and then you train throughout the year on occasion. And then things happen, and it looks like you might go to war. And what happens? If they have enough time, and they see it happening in the future, they kind of have an idea. Okay, there's a good chance that we might get called up. What happens? You start training. You start training even more. You start getting prepared. You get your equipment ready. You get yourself physically and mentally as ready as possible, because there's a good chance you might see battle soon. You don't just sit around and, well, I trained in the past, I did some shooting, I qualified, my gear's over there somewhere in the corner. Leading up to that battle, or that call to go into battle, you begin preparations in earnest. You ramp it up, right? You get things even more ready. You get yourself psyched up. You're going into battle. You clean your weapons. You do a gear check. You do some more training. It starts getting intense, right? Because you know that there's rumors of wars, and that you need to get yourself ready. Well, that's where we are spiritually right now. As believers, in this country at least, we've had it pretty easy for several generations, from a spiritual sense. I mean, there are the occasional attacks spiritually from the left or from maybe government, but for the most part, we have been able to believe and to live our lives, for the most part, however we want in this nation. We haven't been persecuted really that much. In fact, probably less than just about any other time in history. But I believe that's all going to start changing. I believe that at some point we're going to start experiencing persecution for our spiritual beliefs, not just our political beliefs or the way that we choose to live our lives. I believe we're going to start seeing persecution. We're seeing I just read in that scripture, we're seeing those kind of people exist today. That is happening today, right now. And so the odds of us starting to experience persecution at some point in the near future, I think, are pretty good also. I mean, I guess you could say it's already happening in some places. There's a lot of people that aren't even allowed to go to church, to meet together, and to fellowship. So it's already probably happening in some areas. It's time to put on the full armor of God. It's time to get ourselves ready for battle. We don't just say, well, it's a coming, I've read my Bible through in the past, and I've done some studying, and I've been a Christian, or I've been a Messianic, or whatever you want to call yourself, for years now, and I'm ready. No. If you know that battle is coming soon, if you're fortunate enough to get a heads up on that battle, what do? You start training right now. You start sharpening your edge. You start cleaning your weapons. You do a gear check. You pump yourself up. You do some exercises. You get yourself ready. You dust all the cobwebs off and the dust off of you, right? Well, that's where we are right now. There is a spiritual war coming. I may not be right. I am certainly not trying to prophesy. Okay, that's not me. But I believe that with all the things that are happening right now in this country and around the world, it's eventually going to lead to a real spiritual war. And there really is a spiritual war already. But it's going to become, that spiritual war is going to become physical. It's going to be tough for you and I. And it's probably going to get more than just tough. And so right now, as we see that happening in the future, as we're getting kind of the notification that, hey, it's going to start getting bad, now is the time to get ourselves refreshed, get ourselves topped off, sharpen our edge, reload, whatever the term you want to use, to get ourselves ready for what is most likely headed our way. Because if you're spiritually weak, you're probably not going to be able to handle it very well. And we don't want that to happen. We don't want to find ourselves in a situation that is so difficult spiritually on us that we start to lose faith and we start to give up and give in. So start taking this time now as you are prepping in your home and you're prepping your body and you're prepping your mind and you're getting your property and your preps and your and everything ready. You're getting ready, just like just like as if you were getting ready to go off to battle. Get your spiritual life ready also. Get your weapons ready in a spiritual sense, sharpened up, honed, oiled, topped off, whatever it is. Because I think we're going to be seeing some real evil and darkness ahead of us with the things that are starting to transpire. It's kind of like watching a storm build way out on the horizon, and you can just watch it little by little start building, start building, start building, and you can tell it's coming at you, and it looks slow at first, right? You ever seen that? You ever been out somewhere where it's really flat? It's not flat around here, but I've been out, like in Kansas and the Dakotas and eastern Colorado, where it's real flat. You can see just forever. You see this storm building and building and building and building, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my goodness, it's getting ready to overtake me. That's what it's going to be like. We can see it building out there, and we're fools if we just stand around watching it, waiting for it to get to us, and don't do anything to get ready for it. So put that on your to-do list also. Get yourself spiritually ready for battle. Thank you all for watching. Catch you in the next video.